Chrysler Channel Black Fluid. It's time to return to Frostfang. And if you've been following the series, you know we left things last episode on quite the cliffhanger. Let's see how things are going there. A flash of light pierces the shadows, cutting through the distorted shapes that are about to devour us. Between our attacker and us now stands Mekad in his monstrous form, his claws shining with a blinding glow as he unleashes his powers against the darkness. For a moment his ferocious gaze turns towards us, and I feel as if he's about to attack Melbjorn, but the distorted birds attacking him immediately keep him busy. Tenok takes advantage of this brief respite to cauterize his wound, screaming in pain, while the prince blinks as he watches the fight unfolding right in front of us.
He's using his original brand to counter Elastras.
What do we do? Melbjorn's gaze falls on me, and I can see distress in his eyes for a moment, just before he regains his composure.
There's no other way out, so let's pray that those two keep each other busy. Tenok, do you think you can move?
Do I have a choice? The darkness gradually retreats before the onslaught of Galuthan's beast, and to our great relief it pursues the bearer of the brand of Lastra out of the prison.
We have to get out of here immediately.
The lizard can barely nod as the bear crouches down to pass under his good arm and pull him to his paws.
You'll have to protect us, Erik.
After drawing my rapier, I slowly advance down the corridor, barely lit by a faint light coming from the entrance. The prince and the ambassador follow closely behind, and I can see that Tenok is summoning all his strength to keep from fainting.
A branded of Lastra attacking the heart of the castle in broad daylight. Well, either his plan is robust and he's powerful enough to make it out alive on his own, or he has company, so stay on your guard.
Once in the corridors, I see a gaping hole in the window overlooking the outer courtyard. Then the sound of steel clashing reaches my ears. Chaos is all around us. Where are we supposed to go, Melbjorn?
Whoever attacked us is clearly not alone. I'll probably wait for my father to leave with the guard before striking, so let's avoid the throne room.
Melbjorn blinks as he looks out of the courtyard, his gaze lost, and I realise that a dozen scenarios are probably running through his head before he regains his senses.
We need to find Gilliant and Semi. They probably had a plan in case this kind of attack happened.
At least Gilliant will be easy to find. But don't you think Lusk is in danger?
I trust the ones guarding his room. I have no choice.
The prince sighs, occasionally glancing anxiously at Tenok, who himself seems to be struggling to remain conscious in spite of the pain. Stop worrying about me, will you? We won't get out of here alive if you're not focused.
You're right. Let's go, Erik.
Once again, I take the lead and head for the bedrooms. The feeling of fear begins to settle in me. What have our enemies got there before us? As I try to push this thought from my mind, screams and cries reach my ears as burning anthracans flee through the corridors. And soldiers are close behind them, one of whom is the guard who, just yesterday, was standing watch for what I believe to be the door to the Mekadian delegation. Prince Melbjorn, avatars of NeveN and Argon. Surrender your weapons and no harm will come to you. My blood runs cold as I realise what I have to do. Melbjorn is counting on me. We won't surrender. Without a word, I block the warrior's helmet with my powers before charging in his direction. He recoils but immediately stopped and he realises his head is trapped. Then, as I approach, he panics and sends flames in my direction. The fire is immediately deflected toward the ceilings. My rapier pierces the throat of the ill-fated warrior whose body is held suspended by his helmet. Then I release my powers and watch him collapse to the ground. The shiver runs through me. Oh shit, that was close. Don't try that kind of thing without warning me first. Sorry, I didn't think he'd try to burn me alive. barely control my powers. Consider yourself lucky that... The lizard cringes in pain as Melbion glares at me reproachfully.
We have to do this without him, Erik. He's really not in any shape to fight.
Can I even fight alone? I'm certainly not Tenok at his best. But I don't really have a choice. Rapiers draw and I continue through the corridors until I reach the bedrooms. And that's when I realise the extent of the carnage. Dozens of corpses lit to the floor, while further on, in front of Gilliant's room, Semi and his son fight side by side against the enemy. Fire, ice and steel fly in all directions as their opponents, 3 birds bearing the coat of arms of Mekad, fight with remarkable precision and speed. Without wasting any time, I rush into the fray. I can't leave them on their own. And halfway there, a 4th opponent, a vulture, lunges at Odu, who shoots a razor-sharp water jet in his direction. And to everyone's surprise, the water falls limply to the ground as it approaches the vulture, who plunges his blade into the fennec's belly, inflicting a deep gash that spills his entrails onto the ground. Then a heart-rending cry of a grieving mother drowns out the noise of the fighting. Odu! No! Semi throws herself at the vulture to stab him, but he strikes the weapon with his shield, sending it flying away, or hitting the spy mistress in the face with the hilt of his weapon, making a crash against the ground. I can't hear what's being said from where I am, but I run faster in the hope that I'll make it in time. But as another of the Mekadian warriors grabs the old fennec by the neck and presses a blade against her throat, the vulture steps between her and me, pointing his blade in my direction. Not another step, for she's done for. Wait, we can talk. Don't bother bargaining with them, kid. It's a lost cause. The fennec fox has her teeth clenched as tears stream down her blood-soaked fur. Then behind me, Melbjorn's voice booms.
I am the prince. Take me instead.
After the vulture glances behind me, he turns momentarily to his warriors, who seem doubtful. That's when I see Semi slip a hand under her cloak, after which I hear her say these few words. Isu sa usomo. The soldier holding her tenses and tightens his grip on her, as his blade digs slightly into the spy's neck, causing her to bleed. Following this, the bird thunders something in Mekadian. Then Semi laughs loudly before shouting in turn. I'm not your tool anymore! Suddenly, ice spikes pierce through Semi's body from all sides, impaling the 2 warriors standing next to her.
No!
While I'm in shock of the fennec's sacrifice, I can see the vulture reacting instantly and charging at me. Instinctively, I try to stop him in time. My powers have no effect on him. He's already on top of me. What the... After taking advantage of my surprise to disarm me with the flick of his blade, the vulture reaches his talons towards me. But at the same time I feel myself being pulled back, and Melbjorn passes me, now armed with a shield he probably picked up on the way. Only then do I realise that it's with his shadow arm the prince has just pulled me out of the Mekadian's reach for crossing steel with him. The bear strikes with his axe, which is easily blocked by the bird's shield as he tries to keep his distance. Clearly he understands that strength alone will not be enough against Melbjorn. As I approach to join the fight, the bear's voice booms again.
Don't come any closer. He's mine.
If he's talking, I guess he's not having that much trouble with his opponent. That's presumptuous, Prince. What are you without your brand? Looks like I was wrong. I guess one of them was underestimating the other. Once again, the warriors clash their shields together. Even though the Mekadian is struggling to hold his own, he still manages to slip his sword under the bear's shield, clearly trying to use Melbjorn's size against him. The prince steps back in time with the blade to merely graze his armour.
I'll show you what I am.
A hand lands on my shoulder, and I jump for noticing that Tenok has joined me. I trust him. He'll fare much better than you or me against Arakar's brand. But Semi... She can't be saved. I'm sorry. My heart sinks as I hear these words, my eyes fixed on the body of Semi, held upright by the shards of ice protruding from her. Meanwhile, the two warriors continue to exchange blows. I notice the vulture is trying to take advantage of Melbjorn's lack of guard on his axe, trying to slice off his fingers, forcing the prince to remain on the defensive. As the vulture continues to distance himself, the bear starts to do the same. At first he strikes directly in the Mekadian shield with such force that his opponent is forced to focus all his strength on parrying. Then, pretending to attack once more, Melbjorn slides his axe over the bird's shield and hooks the edge with his weapon before pulling with all his might to draw the vulture toward him. And in the same movement, taking advantage of the Mekadian's imbalance, the prince punches him straight in the beak with his armed arm, unable to reach him with the blade of his axe given their proximity. Stunned by the sudden attack, his face covered in blood, the vulture waves his blade frantically in the hope of driving Melbjorn back. The latter strikes the bird's wrist with his axe, breaking it cleanly despite the armour protecting it. With a scream of pain and fear, the vulture drops his weapon. The bear takes advantage of this to grab his opponent's shield with both hands and suddenly twist it with a loud crack. Deprived of both arms, the vulture staggers backward, a look of terror on his face. "Stop! I surrender!"
No! Fight!
With a swipe of his paw, the bear sends the vulture's sword slide into the ground towards its owner. The latter hesitates for a moment before bending down to clumsily grab it with his limp left hand. "Please."
It's too late for mercy.
Melbjorn steps forward again, resolute, causing the vulture to panic even more as he pushes his weapon a little further away while trying to grab it. Before he manages to do so, the prince strikes his face with the edge of his shield, breaking his beak on impact. The vulture isn't dead yet, but he probably wishes he were at this point. But how can I deny Melbjorn his revenge? One blow, then another. Even after smashing the Mekadian's head to a pulp, the bear continues to strike. So I join him, placing a hand on his back, and I stand beside him, seeking his gaze. Seeing me, Melbjorn stops of his own accord, then drops his shield and looks up at Semi.
I failed, Erik. I couldn't protect the kingdom.
It's too late for Semi, Melbjorn. There are still plenty of people you can save. The prince approaches the fennec fox and tremblingly caresses her lifeless face.
Without her to guide me, I wouldn't be half the Anthracan I am today.
I simply take the bear's other hand and stand by his side, hoping it brings him some comfort. I didn't know of her as long as you did, but it's true that she was extraordinary. It's clear to me that she cared deeply for you too. But as I look up to smile at Melbjorn, I realize that more than grief, it is rage as etched on his face.
I haven't finished avenging her. I've only just begun.
As the bear stares at Semi with an increasingly hollow gaze, my attention is drawn to the hand she has slipped under her cloak. At her paws lies an inkstone. Before the prince can see it, I quickly bend down to pick it up with a piece of cloth, and somehow feel relieved that he continues to stare at the fennec fox. I know Melbjorn wouldn't want me to use it. He would fear for my health. But given Tenor's current condition and Aeon's absence, what other choice do I have? I need to stack the odds in our favour. Sorry to bother you, Mael, but Gillian's bedroom door is open and there's blood. The bear's ears perk up on his head as he growls and rushes toward the bedroom, as if suddenly snapped out of a trance.
Not you, Gillian.
I follow close behind him, and sure enough a trail of blood leads into the bedroom. And once inside I can see that the bed is covered in it too. Yet there is no body.
What the?
The dresser door opens, and the body of a bird in armour collapses in front of us, followed closely by Gillian, who is struggling to stand, a dagger in his hand, himself covered in blood.
Everything is fine, my prince.
A brief smile appears on Melbjorn's lips as he wraps his arms around the panther, giving him a bear hug.
Easy there. I'm not fully recovered yet.
Immediately the prince sets his captain down on the ground for looking at him with embarrassment.
I'm sorry. We thought you were dead and we just lost Semi, so... Semi? She is By the gods.
The panther tightens his fingers around his dagger as he puts it back in its sheath. But before he can say anything, a loud noise booms in the distance. Then the castle itself seems to start shaking. What's that?
We need to gather the troops and fast.
I'm not sure I can do that, Prince.
I failed.
Melbjorn turns to Gilliant and places a hand on his shoulder, looking him straight in the eye.
Now more than ever, I need your help. I know you have the strength to do it.
What if I fail to protect you?
There is no personal failure in such a circumstance, Gilliant. If you fail, it means we have all failed. I will not let that happen.
And you did not fail. Together we defeated the beast of Caluthan. I know you are still the greatest warrior, no matter what you may think. The captain looks down, then takes a deep breath.
Well, I'll do my best. Good, that's all I hope for. But we have to stack the odds in our favour. We need to get to the barracks. What's left of the guard must be there.
Wait, do you know what the Mekadians were doing there?
Well, I don't know how they got to the bedrooms. I hear them say they're going to take hostages. Some nobles tried to resist and they were killed for it.
In my mind, I imagine Akhet, terrified in the midst of this chaos. But seeing the state of Gilliant and Tenok, I think it might be better to keep my fears to myself. I can't put any more weight on Melbjorn's shoulders. I have to rely on the Falcon to survive, one way or another.
And you, did you see anything of what was happening out there? Yes, it's total chaos. Some of the warriors who attacked us were part of the escort to Jehud, the Mekadian Sayed. They must have managed to bring in other soldiers from outside.
As we talk, we head for the exit of the room. But Gilliant stops when he sees the bodies of Odo and Semi side by side. Then I hear him say a few words in Mekadian to them.
They'll pay for this. I promise. But Erik is right. I must save our people first and foremost. We'll take care of the bodies in due course.
The prince rubs his eyes and sighs for returning to Tenok to support him.
Let's go. To the barracks.
I take one last look at Semi after being overtaken by a small group. And I feel like I'm still struggling to understand that she will no longer be with us, that her wisdom is lost forever. But the hand on my shoulder pulls me out of my thoughts, as Gilliant smiles sadly at me.
Thank you for protecting the prince.
I would have preferred to be able to protect everyone.
You must focus on the living for now. We'll have time to mourn the dead once this is all over.
With a forced nod, I follow the captain, join Tenok and Melbjorn. And on the way to the barracks, we come across traces of the clash between Vekad and the Branded of Lastra everywhere. Bodies torn apart, faces contorted with fear. But neither of them are around. When we reach the ramparts, we see the wall of earth has been erected by Garan's Branded to block what appears to be an avalanche, judging by the snow and rocks piled against them.
It's far too organised by an improvised attack.
I hope the rest of the city hasn't been affected.
I don't think they particularly wanted to destroy the city, rather to keep busy as many of our Branded warriors as possible. Let's hope what's happening over there is just a diversion.
Oh, if that's the case, your father should be back soon. Tenok speaks weakly, and he seems barely conscious he holds onto Melbjorn with his good arm. We'll need the king's powers if we want to stand a chance against this Branded.
I'll come up with a plan. Assume we still have able-bodied warriors at the castle.
Before we continue on our way, I look towards the gardens and see soldiers wearing Frostfang's armour running towards the throne room with their weapons drawn. Look!
Let's join them without delay.
Our small group descends the steps towards the gardens, then follows the soldiers' tracks. About 30 of them are gathered around the throne room's door, which is securely locked. And their eyes light up when they see us approaching.
Prince!
The horse comes to meet us. When he sees our hesitation, he doesn't take another step.
Is everything all right? I think we're under attack, and the avalanche. We know. We fought Mekadian soldiers in the castle corridors. The troops were resting in the barracks. As soon as we heard noises coming from the dungeons, we armed ourselves. When we stepped into the courtyard, well, there was this thing, a bunch of shadows that appeared in front of us. Was Galuthan's beast there?
The soldier turns pale at these words and begins to look around nervously. No, not as far as I know. Why, has it escaped? I can see that Gillian is also shocked by this news, yet he remains silent.
I had to free it. That's a discussion for another day. What are you doing around that door?
Following the shadows, we found a troop of Mekadians. Instead of fighting us, they barricaded themselves in the throne room. We figured we'd guard the door until the king returned, just to make it easier to capture them.
That was good initiative.
The problem is the scout has just returned from the lower city, sent by the king himself. He tells us there were clashes in the streets. Apparently there are far more enemy troops than expected in the underground passages.
You may need our support there in that case, but we can't leave the castle in the hands of the enemy.
Gillian signals to Melbjorn. They move away from the rest of the troops, while I happily join them, not without receiving a surprised look from the captain. What?
Nothing.
He then turns to the prince and begins to speak in a hushed tone.
Well, if Tenok and I were in good health, I would have agreed. As things stand, I don't think we can take on elite Mekadian troops.
I'd like to have your trust, at least this once.
You know you already have it, Prince.
Is it not your prince speaking to you?
This is your friend, Gillian.
A friend who will not make it without you.
The panther lowers his gaze for a moment, before regaining his composure, determination now visible in what I can see of his face.
I have no doubt about you, Melbjorn. But your fathers gave me the mission to protect you at all costs. You are what they cherish the most, even more so than this kingdom. What kind of bodyguard, and even more importantly, what kind of friend would I be if I didn't do everything in my power to ensure your safety?
In that case, fight alongside me. Together we'll see the sun rise on more prosperous days.
I'm starting to regret butting into this conversation, so it's getting strangely intimate. But Gillian finally turns to me, crossing his arms.
Let's say I agree to go. You're the only avatar on our side capable of fighting. We're facing people who've most likely been trained to kill on sight, and who are there knowing that you and Tenok exist. Do you feel ready to face them?
I try to sound as brave as possible when I answer. After all, that's what Gillian taught me not long ago. Yes.
You won't have to do it alone. We already have a plan for the branded of Lastra. And Tenok will be far from useless, even in his current state.
The captain nods for signaling to 3 soldiers, including the horse, to approach. Metal stripes mark the shoulder pads of their armour. I think it's supposed to indicate that they're of higher rank than the others.
You 3, listen carefully to the prince. He is the one we will follow into battle today.
Wait.
Melbjorn also signals to Tenok, who approaches with difficulty, his eyes blinking rapidly. Do you need me?
You're part of the plan, yes. But first, I'd like to hear what we know about the enemy. We faced a branded of Arakar up there. I don't want any more nasty surprises.
Well, there are about 10 of them, I'd say. In addition to that Lastris brand, we saw them use at least Huri and Jessel's brand. But they probably have more than that given their numbers.
I want you to form 4 battalions. One of them must be composed solely of our Ilaria-branded soldiers. That needs all of our Argon-branded soldiers. And the last 2 battalions will be mixed with all the remaining brands.
The soldiers listen attentively as I try to understand what the prince intends to do.
The mixed battalions will lead the assault. I want them to protect us as we enter the room. Then you'll have to deal with the bulk of the enemy troops. The group of Argon's brands will accompany Tenok.
Me? I can barely use my powers, let alone command troops.
You can produce flames, can't you?
I can, yes. But controlling them is another matter entirely.
Which is why I'm not asking you to control them. You'll focus all your power to produce flames, yet the branded will be there to direct them towards the enemy.
whatever. Well, as long as they're able to handle my power.
Don't try to compete with me when it comes to self-confidence. Tenok and I smile at each other, even if our hearts aren't really in it. But Melbourne quickly brings us back to reality.
How many branded of Argon do we have? Are they strong?
They make up a good part of the troop, maybe a dozen. And the smallest brand is of medium size, I'd say.
Well, in that case, it should be enough.
But what is the purpose of Ilaria's battalion?
I was just getting to that. Logically, given the powers of Lastra, the enemy will try to cover all the light sources in the room to take full advantage of the shadows this would create. The idea would be concentrate Tenok's fire on the Mekadian who controls the shadows, forcing him onto the defensive. And during that time, Ilaria's brandy will have to take advantage of the weakness of the shadows that most likely cover the stained glass window in the ceiling, so that light floods the entire throne room.
That could work. It all depends on our troops' ability to withstand the other fighters present.
Erik can support our warriors from a distance with his powers. That'll give us a significant advantage, but there are no other branded of Arakar around.
The horse nods for salute in Melbourne.
We'll prepare the others for the assault, if you'll allow us, my prince.
Go ahead, and go with him, Gilliand. I want to be sure the plan is followed to the letter.
Once the two Anthracans are gone, I sigh and cross my arms. I know how to fight now, you know.
I know.
Which means that I'm more useful in the fray.
Perhaps. You're also a prime target for Mekad. I don't want to risk you being taken hostage.
It'll happen anyway if we lose.
You know as well as I do that your powers are formidable when you stay at a distance. It's not just to spare you, it's also because it seems like the most sensible tactical choice.
Alright. If I only accept that plan, do you think I'll be more effective that way? Of course, deep down I know he's right about everything, but my pride prevents me from fully admitting defeat.
Good. I think it's time to go. How are you feeling?
I'm not sure. Empty? Angry? A bit of everything all at once. But I'm not afraid. At least not for myself.
I think I understand.
And you?
I feel determined. I don't think I've ever been so sure what I'm about to do. In a way, it's exhilarating. But I'm scared too. Not of the fight, but of what I'll have to do if we win.
What do you mean? The bear pauses and I can see the hesitation in his eyes.
If we lose, there's a chance we'll be captured or maybe even killed. Either way, the outcome will be beyond my control. But if we win, I won't let any of those Mekadians leave this room alive, Erik. And I don't know what that will make me.
I wish I could find the words to reassure the one I love, but I can't. I wish I could convince you to spare them and avoid a war with Mekad. But I don't know if I have the heart to be honest. Not after Semi's death. The prince simply nods silently, and a voice pulls us both out of our dark thoughts.
Preparations are complete, Prince.
They're just waiting for your order. Good. It's time to show the Mekadians what we're made of.
After joining the troops, Melbourne gives a hand signal, and the groups immediately form. Everything is done in almost total silence, except the sound of armour moving. I imagine this is to avoid alerting our enemies to our movements. But deep down, I have a feeling they're waiting for us. The two groups forming the front line use their powers to tear up the pavement, creating a wall of stone in front of them, while the members of the other two groups, those branded by Argon and Ilaria, wait behind, weapons in hand. Meanwhile, Gillian joins me and smiles before regaining a more serious demeanour.
Don't stray too far from me. I can't really fight in my condition, but I'll do my best to protect you. But don't stay too close either. I don't want to prevent you from using your powers.
Maybe for once, I'll be the one protecting you?
For once? You've already protected me.
He winks at me before slinging his sword over his shoulder. Then the doors are blown open by a powerful gust of wind, and the stone wall advances, followed by the soldiers. But, to my surprise, no projectiles are fired in our direction. The Mekadians are there, sitting behind overturned tables that serve as barricades. And behind them, Hackett! The Falcon, but also Sven and a number of the Frostian nobles are tied up at the back of the room. Between them and us, in the middle of the throne room, stand the Mekadians, weapons drawn and brands activated. Calm down, we just want to talk. The warriors on both sides look at each other nervously, as if anything could explode at any moment. Unexpected, the powers of Lastra covering all sources of natural light, leaving only a few torches to dimly illuminate the room.
Talk? The stab in the heart of our kingdom?
Do you intend to talk or hide behind your soldiers, Prince?
And you, Jehud, do you intend to negotiate while using hostages as shields?
Absolutely. Even the bear doesn't show it. I know he must be annoyed by Jehud's calmness despite the situation.
You're in the middle of Frostfang, surrounded by our ramparts and our armies. So make your offer. If I were you, I won't push my luck too far.
I already know what we want, Prince. The eagle's gaze shifts from Tenok to me. She flashes a satisfied smile. I see the white fox behind her, who seems to be suffering from nervous tics. Now that I think about it, I've seen him somewhere before. He's the one coming out of Edwine's office. I won't ask you for the part. I understand you care about him. However, the ambassador, Giselle doesn't even need to know what happened to him.
That's absolutely out of the question. You get neither of them.
That's a bad start for negotiation. Before Jehud has time to say anything else, the shadows of the Mekadians stretch and transform into sharp peaks while circling around the magical stone walls used by our warriors. No one has time to react as two of our soldiers see their armour distorted by the power of the attack that pierces them through and through. What the?
Attack!
Water and wind suddenly roar from everywhere as each side tries to gain control of the elements. The chaos is so complete that I have trouble finding a target for my powers. The fact that some of our enemies are described as Frostian soldiers doesn't help either. Lastra's shadows seem to get in my way whenever I try to focus on a Mekadian warrior.
Tenok, Argon's branded. Take your position.
Looking behind me, I see the ambassador take a deep breath while raising his armour above his head. Flames appear all around him, crackling dangerously in all directions. Then the Argon-marked individuals form a circle around him, containing his powers with their own. For a moment I feel as though I can see Tenok's arm reforming in the flames, as well as wings spreading behind him, just like during the tournament. Tongues of fire intertwine above the lizard before heading toward the user of the brand of Lastra, forcing him to wrap himself in shadows. I take this opportunity to block the spear of one of Jehud's escort warriors. He's about to plunge into a Frostian, that immediately counterattacks by slitting his opponent's throat. After seeing what I did, the enemy soldier sends a blade of wind in my direction, but Gideon gets in the way and it dissipates before even reaching him.
Keep going, I'll protect you.
Still, the Mekadians manage to defend their positions while many Frostian warriors fall. The Lastra's shadows gradually recede, while Tenok's fire consumes them if they were made of mere paper. And finally, light shines through the stained glass ceiling.
Branded Valeria!
As the white fox retreats on the onslaught of flames, he finds himself directly beneath the stained glass window. And the light intensifies, piercing the darkness with multicoloured rays, as 4 branded Valeria work to weaken the bearer of Lastra's brand. The latter can only let out a growl of frustration, and all that remains is his own shadow, and the light and fire bathe him all sides, forcing him to kneel before the power of the assault. Then Jehud's voice echoes through the hall, amplifying a brand of Tessel. Stop! We surrender! What remains of the two sides look at each other hesitantly, unsure whether to continue or not. This attack is nothing more than a rash act on the part of my foolish servant. Let's settle this in a civilized manner. I see the hesitation in Melbjorn's eyes. He could end it here and now with one of Mekad's silent. Before I can say anything, I see the fox burst out laughing behind Jehud, and she turns around too, although I can't see her expression for where I am. Silence, slave! In a split second, I see him slip a hand under his cloak. The next moment, shadow envelops his body, despite the light reinforced by Laria's brands. Like 1,000 dark webs, they stretch in all directions, covering the stained glass window and the walls of the room.
Give it everything you've got.
No matter how hard I try to use my powers on the fox, it doesn't work. The shadows cover him. And while the darkness spreads across the floor, the Mekadian soldiers themselves sink into it, as if the ground had given way to a dark sea. They try to cling to the nearest ledge, where emaciated claws emerge from the shadows to grab them and drag them down into the depths. Traitor! Jehud and his soldiers send everything they have at the fox, joining us in the strangest of alliances. He has an inkstone!
Fuck.
The branded of Lastra is no longer visible. Only a cloak woven of shadows remains, making him look like a raven, while 2 large feathered wings spread out behind him. Then the thousands of beaks emerging from the growing darkness begin a macabre song, a mixture of cries and wails, as they engulf Jehud and her escort. It is far beyond what he should normally be capable of. He is an avatar.
Retreat!
As I prepare to flee, I realise the shadows are surrounding us, dripping from the ceiling to cut off our path. And worse still, they spread in all directions, including towards the hostages. Panic seizes me, and all the Anthracans around me. They do their best to repel the monstrous birds emerging from the dark tide. The creatures seem to feel nothing. Gideon tries to reach the front line, but I see him shaking more and more violently, the shadows created by Lastra's powers come into contact with him. He won't hold out much longer. As for me, I now have only one option left. After slipping my hand in my pocket, I touch the inkstone directly with my fingers. An intense pain seizes my entire body, while nothing and no one around me moves anymore. My voice echoes several times in different tones, talking about things I don't know, uttering words I never said. It's about a dangerous cult, dragons, and even Mekad. I feel like I'm rushing through episodes of joy, pain, and even death, reliving moments from my life that I remember, and others that I don't. Then I close my eyes to escape these visions, and suddenly there is silence around me. When I open my eyes again, I find myself in the throne room. This time completely empty. Well, empty of life anyway. The thrones are still there, and they are surrounded by skulls. Looking closer, I can tell they are rabbit skulls. Anthracan rabbit skulls. I can't help but recoil, and my instinct tells me to run away as fast as I can. There's nothing left to save here. So I leave the room and run through the corridors. They aren't covered in blood, which should reassure me somehow. There's not a sign of life. All I can think about is that I should keep running. I should try to find someone, Melbjorn, Aket, any friendly face. But the further I think I'm getting from the throne room, the longer the corridors seem to stretch. When the door opens on my right, I recognise it immediately. The throne room is in front of me. It makes no sense. Once again I try to escape this place, to find a way out of the castle, only to end up back at the same door. Am I dead? If this is the power of my brand and the effect of the inkstone, I find it hard to see the point. But one thing is clear, I will not escape this place. My gaze falls once again on the skulls piled up near the thrones. A shiver runs through me as I feel them watching me from their hollow eye sockets. Overcome with sudden impulse, I walk towards the pile, as if drawn to it, not by words, nor even by curiosity, but by a thought that gnaws at my mind. A strange feeling of familiarity. Almost instinctively I slide my fingers over the skull while holding it up in front of me. And in the blink of an eye I find myself in a place I know well. A place I have tried to escape, both physically and mentally, but which has never completely left me. Skarna. I'm in my grandfather's house, in my body, without actually being myself. And he is facing me.
Erik, you're not ready for this kind of trip. I can't risk letting you go.
What do you mean I'm not ready? No problem letting me do your shopping when you need to. How's this any different? Business not far from here and the road is safe. Not to mention it's absolutely not the same as a capital city. I know this conversation. It's haunted me for years. You can't keep me here. You're at Vigo. Do you know how rare an occasion this is? There aren't many travelling bards around, let alone groups looking for apprentices. I've made up my mind. You're too young. You don't even have a brand yet. Please, no. I don't want to go through that again. Vigo's had his for months. It's just a matter of a few days, I'm sure of it. That's not the point. I've said no. I don't want to risk anything happening to you on the road. I hate you. What? I feel myself being pulled against my will by this body that is mine, yet that I can't control. When did this ever happened? Not like this anyway. I know I had to go outside and that I was going to do something unforgivable. But instead I go up to my room and cry my eyes out. It's not until several hours later that someone knocks on the door. And when I open it, when this other me opens it, Vigo is standing there with a pained smile. And I throw myself into his arms. Hush, there you go. We'll have other opportunities, I promise. But I'd have loved to run away from this place with you. As I look up at the fox through my watery eyes, he wipes my tears away with a wave of his hand. We have our whole lives ahead of us, Erik. You're right. Suddenly, everything stops. Then everything speeds up. Vigo and I start our very own band in Skarna. Then over time we play in all the nearby taverns. We get married, and year after year we build a cosy nest in this place I hated so much. Grandfather dies peacefully, with pride in his heart after seeing me flourish. When my brand appears, and Tess explains who every chosen one avatar is, I just hide it all. I don't tell anyone for fear it will arouse unhealthy curiosity. And I spend the rest of my life with Vigo until he passes away, before following him shortly after, broken with grief. And Tess welcomes me with my fox by his side. The skull slips from my fingers and shatters on the floor as I fall to my knees, my eyes filled with tears. His whole life. I feel like I've lived it in these few seconds. Regrets. So many regrets. But I can't stop there. I need to know. So I grab another skull, only to find myself immediately in a new existence. One where Melbjorn kills Vekad rather than sparing him. I see him change, becoming more and more tyrannical as time goes by. Then comes the eradication of the Frostian nobility, followed by the war with Mekad. All those deaths. No, that can't be all I'm capable of. I have to find a solution. I must find a better existence. But that also means that, yes, it could have been worse. It could also have been better, perhaps. Another skull. I need another one. As I prepare to explore another possibility, a hand rests on my shoulder. What the? I jump before turning around to find myself facing a mirror. No, I'm facing myself. What the fuck is this? The rabbit standing there is out of breath and on alert. As for me, I can't find the words. I'm still lost in those other lives. You are me? Oh, you are me. Is this another vision of Tess? I don't think so. I found myself here as soon as I used the Inkstone. I think it's all connected to our power. Suddenly the other me lets down his guard and steps back, still looking at me with a stunned expression. I used the Inkstone too. I did it to fight Lastra's avatar. After getting back up, I dust off my shirt while trying to make sense of it all. Were you fighting him too? Yeah. He used his inkstone, so I had no choice. He has an inkstone. Yes, and you better kill him before he uses it. There seems to be very few differences between our lives so far. I see that the other Erik's gaze is wandering over the skulls, so I step between them and him. Don't touch them. You'll regret it. If he thinks like me, I know there's no point in saying that. Listen, I don't want to offend you. We barely know each other. I'm not even completely sure you're real. There you go, thwarted by my own curiosity. I warned you. After I move aside, the rabbit walks past me and hesitates for a moment as he looks at the skulls. Are you sure you're me? I know I'd have insisted if it was really dangerous. It's not dangerous, just upsetting. He reaches the skull I just dropped. Wait, not that one. Huh? I look around till I find a banner, tear off a piece of cloth and wrap it around the skull of the Erik who lived his whole life with Vigo. Try this one instead. It may be painful to witness, but it's still more bearable than seeing Melbjorn become a tyrant. The rabbit touches the skull and instantly falls to his knees as tears well up in his eyes. Why? We share the same curiosity. I knew I couldn't stop you, so I just gave you the least painful one, at least among the ones I've touched. Damn, it wasn't such a bad life, huh? Yeah. But we have to focus on what will happen if we don't stop Lastra. If we can still save something. As I help him up, I see something suddenly appear out of the corner of my eye. Another Erik. And he arrives just as shaken as the first, the point where he grabs his rapier and points it towards us. What's going on? What are you? Calm down, will you? And we're not here to fight. I don't know how many more of me will show up. One thing's for sure. It's going to be a long day. Especially when I see him looking at the skulls behind us. Give him the skull. Let's get this over with. Why would you want to give me a skull? You should eventually want to know what it is anyway. I... not really know. I have to go back help the castle. They're... under attack by the Mekadians, yes, we know. We're in the same boat. Unfortunately, we can't leave this room, and all we have are these skulls. Our skulls, if I understand correctly, are the versions of us who died at different times in their lives and for different reasons. It seems that the inkstone is what brought us here. Do you confirm that you used one? Yes, I did. After a moment's hesitation, this new Erik lowers his weapon and places it in the corner of the room. Neither me and I follow suit. The situation's complicated enough as it is without me stabbing myself. I might have an idea, but you probably don't like it. Go ahead, make your suggestion. It's not like we have any other options. I'd like to make sure no one else comes in. I really don't want to repeat myself an infinite number of times. Understandable. Let me sit down for a moment then. The first me to arrive settles onto the throne, while the other stands, eyeing the pile of skulls. I have to admit, it's starting to sound tempting. See, we can't fight our nature. But while you're making up your mind, I see the rabbit wriggling on the throne, striking different poses, will finally settle into a nonchalant position, resting his head on his hand. What are you doing? Have you really lost your love for the theatrical? If someone else arrives, I want them to be welcomed properly, and I want it to look mysterious. I'm already tired of myself, and a bit embarrassed too. You look dumb if no one comes. I'll take that risk. Since when did I become so boring? I'm just trying to take it seriously, that's all. Yeah, me too. But considering the state the last rabbit arrived in, it'd be nice to welcome the next one a little more appropriately. It's strange. I want to disagree with him, but at the same time, I think the same thing he does, just differently. Would someone please explain the situation to me? I just assume it's tricky to explain. We'll go into details once everyone's here. And hopefully I won't regret saying that. There could be an infinite number of us, I suppose. In that case, we'll be waiting forever. And here's a new me, appearing before us if he'd always been there, except he has his back to us. He almost trips over a bone, so to get his attention that startled him, I make a simple remark. Looks like someone else just arrived. Who are you? The rabbit turns abruptly, his hand near his rapier. And he is just as confused as we were. Breathe slowly. I remember how it was when I arrived. It'll be alright. He looks each of us up and down as if we were ghosts, before eventually letting his guard down. And who can blame him for being completely confused? This is all too crazy to make any sense. How? That's impossible. Calm down. Take a breath. You touch the inkstone and sent you here, and we did exactly the same thing. No, I'm me. There's no... Who the fuck are you? It's tricky to explain. Luckily for us, it looks like we have all the time in the world here. Which means we might also have the opportunity to find a way to defeat our enemy. The newcomer rubbed his eyes for glancing at the pile of rapiers. Why are there so many of us, and why are you stacking... Hey, hold up. If I have to hear the same explanations one more time, I swear I'll stab someone. The Erik who's sitting down seems to find it amusing, but the other two, much less so. And how many more of us are supposed to come? No idea, but I hope they hurry up. We have friends to save. Silence falls for a moment. As the minutes pass, a new me appearing. I can't help but start singing. It's Gregor's song that comes to mind first. Him and his bad luck. Let's hope my story ends like his. Maybe not literally with my dick sticking out, but at least with a stroke of luck. Then I realise that the other versions of me are starting to sing along, which quickly brings a smile to my face. Not bad, you can do better, guys. Don't challenge us, you know how it'll end. On the one hand, I'd love to measure myself against your talents, but on the other, I know I definitely don't want to awaken our competitive spirit. Oh yeah, especially when we talk about one particular kind of talent. None of us can hold back a salacious chuckle that stops almost immediately. No, don't say more. I know where we're going with that, and I really don't want to go there. We all know where that would lead for sure. That would be too weird. You have a lot of self-love, just not that kind of self-love. An awkward silence descends once more as we each stare at a different corner of the room. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be unpleasant, but it'd feel like I'm cheating on Melbjorn. Suddenly all eyes turn to me, and the third me to arrive almost chokes. Cheating on Melbjorn? You mean, you'd feel like you're not following his orders? No, I think he meant it quite literally. A prince? Well, someone's got quite the taste for luxury. I hope castle life suits you. There's almost disdain in the rabbit's voice when he announces these words. Before I can respond, the last to arrive speaks up. Oh, I think we all understand. He's strong, not completely foolish, and he clearly seems more vulnerable than he lets on. A little too uptight at times, but I'm sure he's not a bad guy. Except when it comes to choosing between serving his kingdom or supporting a friend. I look at them in turn, my eyes widening for clearing my throat. Wait. You're not in a relationship with him? Yeah, absolutely not. I'm with Tenok. This time it's the other Erik who gets the strange looks. Of course, that's so typical of me. I don't think it's purely for sex, but no, there's someone quite interesting and likeable underneath the facade. I can understand that, even if it's maybe a tad too eccentric for me. And here I am, thinking we promised not to cause a diplomatic crisis. That's rich coming from you, Prince Charmer. Hey, we only got to do it once, and no one knows about it. Yeah, well, that's one too many, and we know it won't stop there. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. At least I'm not risking anything with Aket. Oh no, please tell me you're not with him to fill the void we feel after Vigo's absence. Well, I did think about this implication, but no, I'm at peace with this whole thing. Is it really just our partner that makes us different? Well, it seems so, and that's probably why we're all here. We have to defend someone, that's what drove us to use this inkstone. It's not like it's just a fling, is it? You all deeply love the ones you've chosen, right? There's no hesitation in my voice when I answer, even though I wonder what implications my answer might have. Of course, I'm sure that's the case for all of you. If we go any further, let's make it easier to identify everyone. You are Tenno, you are Ak, and I'm male. Out of the corner of my eye, so you can see a hint of hesitation in the gaze of the second me to arrive. You're the only one who hasn't said who you're with. I'm with Vekad. I think the mixture of confusion and the touch of terror can be seen on all our faces when we hear this answer. Damn, I know we're the adventurous type, but come on. We don't technically have a rule about banging monsters. He's not a monster. He just needs help. He killed a lot of people inside the castle, including Rowan. And he would have killed Gillian if I hadn't intervened. He was alone. He needed us to get through the hardship. We were all affected by the news in different ways. The expression on Vekad's Erik turns to anger. Did you really abandon him? We couldn't have known, believe me. I think we all would have tried to help him if we'd seen it coming. All you had to do was talk to him. But what happened to Vekad since you weren't there to help? I can't help but look at the other two, who are just as hesitant. Before we can say anything, he lunges furiously at Ak and tries to grab him by the collar. What happened to... The rabbit tries to dodge. The other's hand makes contact with his head. Both of them instantly stop moving before nearly falling over. Tenno and I rush to catch them before they collapse to the ground. Then they regain consciousness, gasping for breath. No, we have to save him. This is horrible. What's going on? I saw everything. His whole life, everything that happened with Vekad. I saw what he became without our intervention. He's right, he can be saved. How? It'll be easier to show you. Tenno and I look at each other for a moment before nodding confidently. Alright, show us, Vek. C'est étrange d'être rappelé comme ça. Sorry, but I couldn't think of something better. He sighs deeply before placing his hands on our heads, sending us straight into his thoughts. Bastard's Alley, the forest, the cult, all those deaths, all that terror. And my heart warms when I see how it all ends. Oh, whoa. I'm sorry I had to go through that. It's a lot to take in. I didn't know there was still so much to discover out there. Sometimes I wish I hadn't discovered some of it. It was worth it, eventually. I think it's only fair to suggest that you see what happened during my lifetime. It's a good idea, yes. Maybe it's even the key to getting out of here. Who knows? Maybe. I hope so, anyway. In one swift movement, we sit down on the ground facing each other. And once we've done that, we touch our heads and immediately transport into those other existences. So much pain, but also some pleasant surprises. All these lives are worth living. Although they're not so different from mine, the rabbits in front of me have come out of it changed, each in their own way. But we all share the same determination, the same goal. We need to defeat Lastra's avatar. So, what's the plan? I guess if another of us was supposed to arrive, he would be here by now. At least that means no one tried to fuck Vol. Or at least this Erik didn't live long enough to get you. Well, now you mention it, I'm surprised no one ended up in a relationship with Gillian's. Nerves can hold back a chuckle. After all, I think it must have crossed their minds as much as it did mine. Plus, it feels good to be able to talk to myself, and to lighten the mood. Well, since we're stuck here, I figured maybe another one of our lives has an answer on how to get out of this. One of the skulls I touched showed our life we'd stayed with Vigo until the end. But he managed to hide his brand, so that doesn't really help us. The interesting part is, We all saw our powers develop differently depending on our lives, despite the similarities. So maybe in a less similar life we'd have had time to explore NeveN's brand in depth. Not to brag.
This is off to a good start.
Not to brag. But I think out of the four of us, I'm the one who's been trained the best. If we need to harness some kind of new power, I can take care of it. I trust you on that, but it'd go faster if we all worked on together. We all touch one of these skulls, then if one of us finds an answer, they can share it with the others. That sounds like a good approach. Let's get to work. After getting up, we spread out toward the different piles of skulls in the four corners of the room. Then slowly and methodically we explore each of these existences. Most of these skulls take us through short lives, where I ended up stabbed in a pit by some common thieves. Others were lives too peaceful to really bring an answer. I thought I'd discover new things, maybe even finally see my parents' faces. But the more I think about it, the more I tell myself that maybe it's a good thing, that I'm not meant to know. My family is here now. All around me I see the other versions of me crying and getting angry. It could seem amusing if I didn't know what could be seen inside these things. And finally one of them raises a skull in the air. I've got one! The Erik holding the skull is trembling, yet I see no particular fear or excitement in his eyes. After we gather around and before we start touching it, he momentarily pulls the skull out of our reach. It's intense, be warned. Which one of us isn't intense, Dar? Now that's talking like a real Erik. After exchanging one last smile, we all touch the skull. Or immediately sent into a body that feels strangely different from my own. It itches. When I look down, I realize my whole body is covered in wrinkles and scars. This Erik is much older. But this time, instead of going from beginning to end, I feel myself being thrust backwards. He wants to show us his life. In its existence, I fled Skarna without ever rejoining my travelling band. I discovered my power alone, without anyone knowing, and I trained it to survive on the streets. This time, I was the one who had the upper hand over the criminals, and as I killed them, I sang of my exploits to the common people. I had become kind of a violent vigilante, to the point of attracting increasingly cruel individuals, until I caught the attention of the nations themselves. All I see is a life of wandering, without friendship, without love. A life of perpetual war. And yet, the more I was tested, the more my powers developed. It even got to the point where I learned to enter NeveN's domain simply by singing. And it seems that this is where I find myself in the present moment, endless corridors removed from the flow of time. This Erik created a sort of rift by coming and going from this place. He's trying to influence events in order to live a more peaceful life. In fact, deep down, I can feel he was tired of running away. So I absorbed the process he used to come here, and once again swept away by the flow of time, and found myself in his skin doing what seems to be the end of his life. He stands straight in front of a mirror, despite his advanced age. But he's not looking at himself. He's staring at me. Breathless, I emerged from this vision and found myself face to face with the other rabbits who had just had the same experience. You weren't kidding when you said it was intense. Do you think he knows about us? Maybe, but I don't think that's our problem. We're still as good as ever at putting off our concerns until later, huh? Maybe we have the life he wants so badly? It's far from peaceful, but it's surely more peaceful than the one he had. Tenno, do you think you could recreate what he did? With your help, it should be possible. Besides, there'll be a chance to sing with myself for once. Wait, before we do anything, I thought it would be good if we all made a promise, for those we love. You've definitely been influenced by Akhet. I'm in, and I'll start. I'd like you to help Tenok realise his potential, help him ignite the flame of his ambition, and learn to let go by allowing him to return home. I'm sure he'll appreciate it, and so will I. For Akhet, I'd like you to encourage him to take more initiatives. He has a big heart, but above all, don't let him forget himself. He is strong, even if he doesn't know it. Oh, and also, learn from his compassion. I'm not sure what to ask from Melbjorn. Prevent him from starting a full-scale war? Listen to him. He's not bad, just lost and lacking in confidence. I'd like you to learn from him as much as he has to learn from you. My request will be a little more straightforward. Find Vekad and bring him to Bridget. He deserves a new life, even if he prefers to spend it far away from everything. This path is dangerous, you've seen it. But he deserves that chance. Vek holds out his hand, and I place mine on top of it, and yet the two do the same. Alright, let's give the gods a chorus they can't ignore. Okay, pause. I didn't see that coming. That really surprised me, but I just love that second part there where I'm just doing the various Eriks. Oh, that's great writing there, great writing. And of course it compares so well to all that drama we've had going on, and we still are at the moment. R.I.P. Semi, you will be missed. But it's good to see Gillian back up and about again, even if he is hurt. And also, yeah, let's just give a mention of the fact that all these Eriks are in the other routes, and if you haven't played them yet, and I've quite a lot to read through still, because I'm only doing this route in the videos. I need to find some time to just sit and read the others more than I have. Yeah, I think that's, if you haven't done them already, that's a good cue to just go and read through those, because I certainly can't do all of them. That will take me a long time to get through. But yeah, definitely do those. Again, great writing on this. I'm so impressed, and hopefully the Eriks can find a way to get out of this situation. And sorry, I'm just moving something here. Need later. Yeah, so next weekend, I think the schedule says Burrows to round off January. And hopefully Brock the Investigator in the week. I'm definitely going to make an effort to get that done. It all depends on how work goes. And as always, at this point, I want to say thanks to all my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. And my top patrons are Andy Peng, Aaron Fox, Bastian, Baker, Brian Hall, Cobus Visser, Dissonance, Exact, Grizz, Harvest Mouse Productions, Evan King, Kartek, Makenya, Omar, Spiderling, Smuto, Tiger Cup, Aramatarasu, Alan Mayer, Greylock, Hyperdefined, Lark Huskerton, and Gracious Yevon. Don't forget, NeveN has a Patreon, which you can also go there, get bills 2 weeks early, and lots of other stories and stuff. And also, special thanks to the NeveN team for actually doing this one. It's just so enjoyable narrating this one. I have a lot of fun. So that's it until either Brock, hopefully Brock, or Burrows next week. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.